Are you really 67? I think you're 66. You're 66. I'm getting there. And second thing, a generous check isn't bad either. I had to say that because we're having this campaign, okay, so, you know, that's it. It's great, you know, maybe it's secondary, but it's not bad. So this whole month we've been talking about self-reflection. We've been going within and finding everything basically that's wrong with us and you know, what we can do to change it. So I kind of wanted to reiterate and talk about wholeness today and about how worthy that we are, because sometimes we do get this self-reflection going and we think about all the things that we've done wrong in our life and all the things that we can change, instead of remembering all of the blessings and how incredibly perfect that we are, how incredibly whole that we are. And we're the best. We really are, and we have to know that. We have to remember that our beingness is whole and perfect and complete the way we are. Is it hot in here?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, big space. So, yeah, you know, we are broken. We have brokenness. But in our brokenness, that's kind of the point I want to talk about, is in our brokenness is our wholeness. Is the wholeness that we are. The things that we go through. Someone once said that our life is like a drawing without an eraser. And I love that because that's so true. Even though there's parts of it, I know there's parts of my life that I would have loved to years ago erase and pretend that it didn't happen and I was just this part of my life, but I'm all of it and I thank God for it. And that's my wholeness. And that's what brought me to the moment that I cherish so much. You know, so each of us have these things. Each of us have these, you know, stories that are of brokenness, that are of disappointment and sadness, but it's those stories that we build upon that bring us to our wholeness, that we really, really are. That we are, the Buddhists say that we are rare and that we are precious. And every day, if we could remember how rare and precious that we really, really are, we can move through our life with joy, just knowing that. So I've been, I saw a TED Talk by Brene Brown. I don't know if anybody saw it. It was on vulnerability. And she's amazing. I love the woman. And I wanted to kind of talk about that because we have to be vulnerable. We have to have courage to open up before we can know our wholeness. Not before we can be whole, because just whatever I say, remember, you're already whole. It's just that we're on this journey to knowing that. We're on the journey to knowing our wholeness. And here's what she says is that she's a researcher, Harvard researcher, Texas, sorry, it wasn't Harvard, but she's a Texas researcher, and she studied the human condition. And she said that after 10 years of studying human relations and all about the journeys, that what she learned changed her way of parenting, her way of life, her way of being in the world, what she learned. And listen to the talk if you ever get a chance on YouTube. But she did a study and she wondered why some people, because they have the same stories in life, but basically some people have a life they love. Right? They love their life. Even though it's the same as another person's life, the other person doesn't. What's the difference? What makes them the difference? And it's all about connection. She had to start with a common point that most sociologists know, most psychologists, that there's the human condition. We're hardwired for connection, right? We're hardwired. That's what makes us happy is connection. If we don't have connection, we're dysfunctional. We have to be able to connect. And so she started with that premise. And found out that many, many people can't connect on this soul level. They can't connect, even not just a soul level, on a human level. So the truth is that what she found out is that there was a fear, and the fear was shame. That at our core, every one of us, every single one of us have a core that feels shameful sometimes. There's a shame that it can start from way when you're little. If you go back in your life, and I got to thinking about my life at this time, you know, these talks are great because it kind of helps us to, you know, look at our own stuff. And I thought, well, you know, I don't really feel a lot of shame, but there were times. You know, I remember a teacher one time when I was in 2nd grade, I went out in the parking lot to talk to my uncle, and she thought I was talking to a stranger, and she panicked, and she went and she pulled me and she shook me like this, and she yelled at me in front of the whole school practically. And I was so ashamed. And I can remember years later that came up. that shame. And that shame we hold within us. And it's then you put all these blocks and you can't connect to the other kids because you're afraid of what you'll look like. And that happens to all of us in one way or another, not just some of us. We all have some kind of shame that keeps us from connecting at a soul level with other people. That's a universal fear. So after years and years of study, she found out that the one thing that separated people that had this strong sense of connection and love were these things, and that they knew they had some sense of knowing that they're worthy. Somehow they got through the shame and they knew that they were worthy. And they had, this is the big one, they had the courage to be imperfect, to put it all out there and let themselves be vulnerable, to be authentic with who they were. Courage, I love the word courage because courage, before it came to the English language, the word core means heart. And the original definition was to tell the story of your heart. That's what courage was, to tell the story of your heart. And that's the call here, is what we're talking about, is to be able to open your heart up enough to share who you really are. I think you said it about giving who you really are. See, that's the biggest. That is better than a check, although checks are good. But, you know what I'm saying? Is that's being vulnerable. That's opening yourself up and all of your imperfections. That's when you connect. That's when you connect with other people. And they had the compassion to be kind to themselves, to eat. I don't know anybody else who has that problem. Everybody else eats too much, But that's true. It's to be kind to themselves first, and then they'll be kind to others. And to let go of what they thought they should be in order to be who they were. Who do you think you have to be? We all are there. We have to be, I'm going to be vulnerable here and tell you that I have no nails. And I thought that if I got long, beautiful fingernails like Chris, where are you? You have these gorgeous fingernails. I went, that would make me a little more whole, right? That thought, honestly, has gone, here I know it's not true. But we all have that in some way. If we could just add to us, we might be a little bit better. That's the truth. You have no nails in your hole, I know of today. And they fully embraced vulnerability. They let themselves be there. They let themselves, be who they were. They connected. So you can connect at a deeper level when you can let yourself be who you really, really are. And the willingness. I got to thinking, what does that mean? I think sometimes it just means the willingness to say, I love you first. That's a hard one, isn't it? To say, I love you, I really care about you. To the willingness to do something that there's no guarantees is going to happen. I thought about how vulnerable that this whole thing with Common Ground, this new facility, that we're stepping into this, that we're older and we are stepping into this big dream, basically. I don't know if it's a dream, it's a calling that we need to do this. And it's vulnerable. What's going to happen? What if you threw a party and nobody showed up? But you do it anyway. See, that's vulnerability, is you do it anyway. You do it anyway. And that's what we're talking about here, wholeheartedness. She calls it wholeheartedness, Brene Brown does. And I like that better than wholeness. It's having a whole heart. This is hers up here, I love that. Living and loving with your whole heart and engaging from a place of vulnerability and worthiness. See, knowing you're worthy lets you be able to be vulnerable. Lets you be able to let it all down, not holding anything back. And she said that after interviewing tons, I think thousands of people, she said that the people that she talked to had two lists going. And one list was the things that they're working towards. These are successful, wholehearted people. And she said, these are the lists that you're working toward, and there's a list you're working to let go of. The list that these wholehearted people were letting go of was judgment. Judgment about another person, judgment about ourselves. It was about trying to be perfect. That was, everybody's trying to be perfect because they're trying to be something. And they're already whole. They compare themselves to others. They play too little and they work too hard. And there's no vulnerability there. And for those, on the other hand, that they're working towards, what wholehearted people are working towards, more play, more creativity, more laughter, more joy, more realness and authenticity, more vulnerability, more letting myself down so that I can connect with you on a deep, deep level. She said, so many of us are guarded. We put a shield up because we have these emotions, and we fill these emotions with drugs and with alcohol and with TV and with food. And what happens is we have a society of people who numb out, and they can't be vulnerable. They numb out. And what happens is when you numb out to the emotions that are painful, you numb out to the joy. You numb out to the aliveness and the beauty and the excitement, the enthusiasm of life. So that's what this call is really about. I want to honor you, Robert, because I know you have to leave, but I want to so much get it across that you're whole, you're beautiful. Let yourself be vulnerable to another. Open your heart, share. I mean, you don't have to have a blow-by-blow of your divorce. That's not what I'm talking about. You know, that's what I'm talking about, your whole life, blow-by-blow of this to everybody you meet. My mom used to do that, drove me nuts. That's not, you know, what I mean. I'm saying find a trusted friend that you can connect with at this heart level, because it's that connection that builds. That's why I think Judy and I are so close. I have one other friend that I have been friends with, and Judy and I are alike, pretty much a lot alike. But my other friend, we're not alike. Our lives went way different paths, but we connect at this heart-soul level. And I think it's because we were both vulnerable. We both are able to say, oh God, you know, I don't feel so perfect. I might know it head-wise, but sometimes I don't feel this way. I don't feel this way at all. So let yourself know you're beautiful. Let yourself be vulnerable to somebody that you care about. So that's my prayer for us, is to soften your heart, let your guard down, make connections with other people. And I'm going to read the last paragraph of Brene Brown, what she says, wholehearted living. She says, wholehearted living is about engaging in our lives from a place of worthiness. It means cultivating the courage, the compassion, and the connection to wake up in the morning and think. Now remember this, you guys. No matter what gets done and how much is left undone, I am enough. It's going to bed at night thinking, yeah, I'm imperfect and vulnerable and sometimes afraid, but that doesn't change the truth that I am also worthy of love and belonging. Thank you.